Okay, so my topic for the show, what you know, is what goes wrong with editorials and how that relates to research papers. Yay! Okay, so, first off, not taking a stand is a problem in editorials. Editorials are very opinionated, so you want to take a side. That's kind of the purpose of editorials. You want to persuade your audience to believe what you're saying, and if you don't pick a side, your audience is going to be very confused if you know what you're talking about and whatnot, and taking a side makes you way more credible. And though that's not always necessary in research papers, you get to show both sides of an argument. You really should have a point in your research paper. So if your thesis isn't clear, people aren't going to be able to follow what you're saying. So yeah, that's one thing. Another thing that goes wrong with editorials is being overly generalized and not being specific enough. So basically, for example, that's just like saying your topic is depression, which is basically what I'm doing. So it's like, yeah, depression. Depression is very broad. You can say a lot of things about depression. So, like, you're not going to be able to fit all of that in a tiny little editorial. You might be able to fit in a gigantic research paper, but you can't do that in an editorial. Even if you have a research paper, people aren't going to want to read all that. You have to be really specific. So, for my editorial, I focused on depression and social media. I narrowed it down, but actually helped a lot, because otherwise my topic really would have been all over the place. And yeah, and even from there, I probably could have narrowed it down more, because there were a lot of subtopics that came up for depression and social media, like cyberbullying, lack of productivity, whatnot. And for editorials, like I said earlier, if you're more specific, less to write about, and you're not confusing your audience by going all over the place. For mine, it's like antidepressants and their effects on the brain, instead of like antidepressants. Yeah. So it's not like I'm focusing on everything about antidepressants. I'm just focusing on what does the brain, and from there, like how it affects your behavior or your thought process, whatever. I'm not like not getting sidetracked by anything else that antidepressants can do. So I might like cover that briefly. My main focus is therapy. So yeah, for editorials and for research papers, don't be too general, be specific, so your audience knows what you're talking about, and you don't confuse them. Okay, so I'm noticing as I'm doing this, I'm doing this in clips, and I'm noticing there's like lots of random clicking noises. I don't know what's happening with that, so I apologize for that. But anyways, so another thing that goes wrong with editorials is asking too many rhetorical questions. So, if you do that, no one's going to really get your opinion. Just like, why is this happening? What? So, yeah, like, you might be asking that question, but you're not really stating your opinion. Your question might imply that you're for it, but it also might imply that you're against it. It's too vague. You have to be, as always, more specific for an editorial. And especially in a research paper, you definitely want to be specific. It's a research paper. Now it's like not only your opinion, but you're really trying to show what you know. Yay! No. Well, yeah, that's what you're doing, and you're trying to show, basically trying to say, like, this is what I know, and this is why it's true. And if you're asking questions all the time, it sounds like you don't really know anything. It's more like you're trying to find the answer to something, when supposedly you're writing your research paper because you have an answer. And the same thing goes for an editorial. You're writing your editorial because you supposedly have an opinion. Another thing that goes wrong with editorials is using quotes. You don't really need any quotes. This is your opinion. It's not anyone else's opinion. So why would you be quoting anyone? I mean, you should really avoid quotes. I mean, if you use one, probably won't be a big deal. If you're referencing somebody who has the same opinion as you or is relevant to your topic, then maybe. But it's really supposed to be about your opinion, so focus on you. Don't focus on getting things from a million other sources that aren't you. And same thing goes for research papers, probably even more so, because as we talked about in class, too much quoting is considered plagiarism, and you don't want to do that in your research paper. So avoid quotes. Okay, since I think I'm getting really close to the 8-minute limit, my last thing that goes wrong with editorials, I'm going to say, is going off topic. And not only does this apply to editorials and even research papers, I'd say it applies to any kind of writing, because anyone can go off topic, it happens. But don't do it anyway. So, if you get off topic in an editorial, or in anything, you're going to really confuse your audience, because that's going to remove the clarity. Like, you're basically talking about something, you're going down a line, and then you start trailing off, and then you go back to your topic. Your audience is going to be like, what? What are you saying? And, yeah, and plus, the information is not going to be relevant to your topic. It's off topic. And you're trying to get your point across, and if your off-topic information isn't related to your point, then it probably shouldn't be in your editorial or anything you write. In fact, if you write too much off-topic stuff, it's going to take away all the room you can write for stuff that is on topic. Because if you write too much, no one's going to want to read it. So keep all the off-topic stuff, all off-topic stuff out, and yeah, just be careful about that. So yeah, that's what goes wrong with editorials and how that really relates to research papers. That's it.